Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fruitful 7. What you're about to see is an episode from a series of episodes that we're doing, and it's actually called the David Dialogue. What the David Dialogue is a series break, and it's functioning as a series of conversations that me and a dear relative and friend of mine had to really help encompass and intentionally dive into our main series, Lessons from the Life of King David. And so without any further ado, enjoy the episode.
Hello once again, everybody. This segment of my podcast is going to be taking place over the next several weeks. What I was to do moving forward, at least briefly, was to provide a bit of a different context. The conversation and dialogue that we are about to have will be very deeply and intrinsically connected to our series, Lessons from the Life of King David. And so what I wanted to do was stop and just take a moment to have a conversation about what has been going on in this series thus far. And so what we'll be talking about will cover 1 Samuel chapter 16 through 1 Samuel chapter 25. We're going to talk about so many different things that we have observed in this story thus far with David. And the crazy part is that we haven't even seen him officially become king yet. He's been anointed, but he hasn't even ascended the throne yet. And so without any further ado, before we continue in this dialogue, I want to give my cousin, my friend, my homie a chance to introduce yourself so that y'all can know who she is. And after which we will press forward with this awesome conversation. So, Coach Rowe, go ahead and tell us about yourself real quick.
Awesome sauce. So thank you guys for having me, Fruitful 7. And I am Rolanda J. Buck. I am the CEO, founder, creator of Faith Builders United. And I too love the Lord. And I'm here to share in great dialogue with Bryce, my cousin. Y'all, this is my dog. And I'm so excited about this particular book because what you guys don't know, you are about to find out. I too am an author, podcaster. I have done great works for the Lord. And so it's just an honor to be able to share this space. And I hope you guys enjoy.
That is amazing. Thanks so much for that introduction. Man, I got to tell you, I'm excited. This is going to be so illuminating. And so, y'all, we're not going to waste any time because I was thinking about this earlier. It's so funny. Coach Rowe and I, the ministry and religious context we come from within Christianity, something that you'll hear a lot of speakers and pastors say at some point is that the time has been well spent. And so I don't want to get to that point until we're close to the end. And so, but anyway, we're just going to jump right into it. So many good things to talk about. But the first thing that I wanted to get your perspective on, Coach Rowe, and really just talk with you about is what Samuel was enduring at the beginning of this story, if you will. Mm-hmm. Because what a lot of us skim over and skip over, and I believe I talked about this when I recorded the particular episode about this, when Samuel is preparing to anoint David, he's actually having a very hard time because Samuel had already been through this he had already been through this process with King Saul. And so he's like, Lord, wait a minute, like, hold on, like, we were just getting to a good spot, I feel like, so to speak. And like, now I have to go and find like this other person that you're ready to anoint. But what we kind of see and observe in scripture, and we see this honestly throughout the entire Bible, is that once the Lord has lifted a mantle or lifted something from someone, it's final. He said what he needed to say. He said what he decreed, and it's time for us to move forward. Yeah. And so with like how you felt about seeing this in scripture, and also with how this may apply with some of us today, learning to let go of something that has been. Talk to us about what you saw in that, because this is very, very interesting.
First of all, great question to start us off. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up my Bible because you guys know I like to be sound, okay? So I started reading in First Samuel a couple of weeks before you even asked me about this. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me was when the Lord told Samuel to wrap up his mourning. He said, "You have mourned long enough. It's time to press forward." I want you guys, those who are listening, to be reminded that when it's time to close a door or a chapter of some sort, it's not because the Lord is being mean and aggressive. It's because something else is on the way. There's a new opportunity that's about to be present that needs to take place, right? And so when we look in chapter 16, I want to go immediately. I think this is verse number 5 where it says, "Yes, Samuel replied, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Purify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice." Then Samuel performed the purification rite for Jesse and his sons, right? What you're hearing here is him coming and searching for something. This is after he mourned King Saul not doing what he was supposed to do. So
Wow.
I want to press a little bit forward and say, sometimes the Lord is going to ask of us the things that looks so easy to the worldly eye. But spiritually, the Lord is asking for something so specific. And if we go down to verse number 7, he says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him." The Lord doesn't see the things the way we see them. Because when Samuel was going to anoint David, he was on an assignment, right? And
Right.
Samuel is like, ultimately, let me go and just do what this man want me to do. I'm gonna go and find the first thing I can see, and we're gonna go ahead and get it done, because Samuel is still, rather it's noted in the Bible now, I do believe Samuel was still grieving the fact that King Saul wasn't who he thought he was, right? And Samuel's like, "Okay, Jesse, let me see what you got." You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to be on assignment. And he's going through all of these different people. How often is it where we go through these different things thinking that this is what the Lord is asking of us, and it's not? And you have to go in the way back and say, "Man, you want me to get this?" Because you know how many people Samuel went through to get to the one that's supposed to be anointed.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because something that I was thinking about when I was reading the beginning, and sorry to the viewers, I forgot to premise that part of the background reading for this series and the story is in First Samuel chapter 15, because Samuel the prophet had a whole process even getting to going to Jesse's house. But something that was amazing to me was the fact that Samuel had to have been called, because he had to exercise so much diligence and so much patience, because once he got to Jesse's house, this brother had to sift through every son that Jesse had until they got to David.
Until right. Here's the thing though, right before he got to David, he said, "Is this all you got?" He said, "Is this can't be it, because the Lord is not satisfied." Again, how often is it that we will settle for the low-hanging fruit when the Lord is asking us to reach? And so Jesse was like, "Well, we got one more, but I don't think that's who you're looking for." It goes back to the verse I just read in 7, where the Lord is saying, "I don't need you to go, looking at your worldly eye. Spiritually, I'm looking for something different." And that's when David comes, because he's in the back shepherding, looking at the sheep. And Samuel was like, this the one.
Wow.
This the one. And I want to add, and then I'll give it back to you. How often is it where we don't even think the thing that wouldn't be used is the exact thing the Lord wants us to use? Because right before, I'll say this too, verse 11, Samuel says, "Are these the only sons you have?"
Wow.
Right? And it says, "There is still the youngest," Jesse replied, "but he's out." Do you see the "but" there? You had already counted him out, and the Lord is saying, actually, I need to count him in. It's too often we count things out before we give the Lord space to use it.
And I tell you this too, isn't it amazing? Because when I read this, I thought about this from this perspective, being a parent now. I was like, I wonder if Jesse was operating from a place of protection. But beyond that, I was wondering to myself,
That's good.
man, sometimes I wonder if the Lord is trying to get us to open up and be vulnerable in certain places that He's actually called and positioned us to steward. Because, and I'll be very transparent with you guys and with you too, Coach Rowe. If someone came to me and my daughter is just a child, let's say she's in elementary school or middle school or something like that, and someone comes to me and says, "Hey, Mr. Daniels, how are you? We'd like to inform you that your daughter is actually anointed to be the next president of the United States."
Mm.
I'd be like, excuse me? Hold on, wait a second. You mean to tell me this little girl that is still very much in a developmental stage of life has
Yeah.
been anointed to do what now?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like, because of my faith, I believe I've grown to a place where I could receive that if I knew the story. But that's the other side of what Jesse had to understand and be okay with, because Jesse, it's I believe okay to infer that if David ended up being a man after God's own heart, surely his father Jesse had to have been as well to some degree. And so I would love to think that if I knew the story or knew at least like what some of the plans were, I'd be like, oh, you all mean in like several years she'll be the president. Okay, I think I can handle that. But and you all forgive me if I'm butchering this, but in scripture, I don't know that we know that Samuel either had much to give Jesse about what the Lord was going to do, or had even been released by the Lord to tell Jesse the full inclusion that the Lord had given him. And so I say that to say, sometimes we really have to operate in faith from a position where we're not going to know everything that's going to happen, especially for Jesse here in this instance as a parent. He just had to trust what the Lord's anointed man, Samuel, had told him about his son, and roll with that and do his best to look after him and steward him until his time came.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, so much there. We could that could be a whole 2 or 3 hours just talking about this part of David's story. I mean, that's just so amazing to me. Every time I go back and read it, there's something else that sticks out to me.
Thank you so much for watching and or listening. I pray that this conversation has been a blessing to you as much as it was for us. If there are any comments or prayer requests that you have, feel free to leave them in the comment section or the chat on YouTube and or Spotify. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.